Winter 1944, Ardennes forest. The cold claimed more American lives than enemy fire in the Battle of the Bulge. The temperature plunged, turning the environment itself into a deadly adversary. Frostbite, trenchfoot and hypothermia struck thousands, threats as lethal as bullets. The cold crept in silently, exploiting every mistake, every damp sock, every thin shelter. For many, the European winter was a more formidable foe than the enemy. Survival depended on ingenuity, not firepower. Soldiers relied on what little they had, especially a coarse grey wool blanket. It seemed inadequate, but within its fibres lay a secret to survival. Veterans passed down a simple, clever method. Use the blanket right, and you might see another dawn. This is the story of how a humble blanket became a shield against the killing cold. How did they do it? The answer is both simple and ingenious. The army wool blanket was no luxury, just heavy, scratchy, and always present. Soldiers carried it everywhere. A pillow, a seat, and most importantly, their main defence against the cold. In a frozen foxhole, it was more precious than rations. Nightfall brought a ritual. Unrolling the blanket, preparing for the cold. It wasn't just a cover, it was a lifeline, a fragile barrier against the winter. Soldiers used it to line shelters, insulate from the ground, and wrap wounds. Its value went far beyond comfort. It was survival gear, pure and simple. Wool's effectiveness wasn't just in the material, but in how it was used. The secret lay in understanding the science behind the blanket and using it wisely. Why was wool so effective? The answer is in its unique properties. Let's look closer at what made this blanket a soldier's best friend. Wool's magic is in its structure. Crimped fibres with millions of air pockets. These pockets trap air, providing insulation far beyond the wool itself. Wool repels water on the outside, but its core absorbs vapour, keeping skin dry. It can hold up to 30% of its weight in moisture and still insulate. This was critical for soldiers. Sweat and dampness didn't mean instant cold. Wool wicks moisture away, preventing chilling evaporation. It's also fire-resistant, safe near campfires, unlike synthetics. Superior insulation, moisture management and fire resistance made wool ideal for war. But the real secret wasn't just the material, it was how soldiers used it. Using wool right was a matter of life and death. Instinct says to wrap a blanket tight for warmth, but in deadly cold, that's a mistake. Compressing the wool squeezes out insulating air, turning the blanket into a thin, cold sheet. The result? Heat escapes and the body chills faster. Veterans watch new arrivals make this fatal error, shivering, then succumbing to the cold. Survival required counterintuitive knowledge. Don't hug the blanket, float it above you. The secret was preserving the air gap, not eliminating it. Those who learned this survived. Those who didn't, often didn't wake up. The lesson: instincts can betray you in extreme environments. True warmth comes from trapped air, not tight wraps. The floating blanket method was a revelation. Simple, but life-saving. How did they build a system to defeat the cold's 3 deadly weapons? The cold kills by stealing heat in 3 ways: conduction, convection, and evaporation. Conduction: the ground pulls warmth from your body if you lie directly on it. Convection: wind strips away the thin layer of warm air around you. Evaporation: sweat or dampness cools you rapidly as it evaporates. A wet, exposed soldier on frozen ground was fighting a losing battle. These forces worked together, amplifying each other's effects. The solution wasn't just a blanket, it was a system to defeat all 3. Soldiers improvised, using what they had to build a fortress against the cold. The method was simple, but it addressed every threat. How did they do it with just a blanket, a poncho, and what they could scavenge? The answer: a 3-layer system, born of necessity and shared wisdom. Let's break down how it worked. This was survival science in action. Soldiers created a 3-layer system to fight the cold. First, they insulated against the ground: pine boughs, leaves, cardboard, anything to lift them off the earth. Next, they draped the wool blanket over themselves, propped up to create an air gap, never wrapped tight. Edges were tucked in to seal the warm air pocket. Finally, a waterproof poncho went over the blanket, blocking wind and moisture. This setup trapped body heat, kept out wind, and managed moisture. The blanket floated above, not on, the body, maximizing insulation. The poncho kept the system dry and windproof. Simple materials, arranged with knowledge, became a fortress against the cold. The real secret: it was all about trapping air. The genius was in trapping air, the true insulator. The body made the heat, the blanket and air pocket kept it from escaping. The floating blanket maximized trapped air, creating a personal microclimate. Moisture from sweat was absorbed by the wool, then wickered away to freeze harmlessly on the poncho. The system breathed, keeping the soldier dry and warm. Discipline was key. Resist the urge to pull the blanket tight. The feeling of warmth came from the air pocket, not the wool's touch. This knowledge, trusting the air gap, meant survival. The method was simple, but the science was profound. Trapped air was the difference between life and death. At dawn, a layer of frost inside the poncho was proof the system worked. Moisture from the body had travelled through the wool and frozen on the outer layer, leaving the soldier dry and alive. No frost meant trouble. Damp clothes lost heat and a dangerous night. The frost was a silent teacher, showing which methods worked. Soldiers learned by comparing results. Frost meant success, dampness meant danger. This daily feedback reinforced the lesson: manage moisture, insulate with air. Survival in extreme cold was a science, not guesswork. The frost was more than frozen water, it was knowledge made visible. In the cold, science and survival were one and the same. After the war, this hard-won knowledge faded as new gear took over. But the principles remain. Conduction, convection and evaporation still steal heat. Trapped air is still the best insulator, whether in a wool blanket or a modern parka. The soldier system was a masterclass in using simple materials with deep understanding. Survival is about knowledge and adaptation, not just fancy gear. A high-tech sleeping bag is useless if used wrong. A wool blanket, used right, can save your life. True preparedness is knowing how to use what you have. This story is a legacy of resilience and ingenuity. Share this wisdom. Don't let it be forgotten. Comment with your own stories or thoughts on survival. Subscribe for more lessons in forgotten skills and practical knowledge. Let's keep these life-saving lessons alive.